Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Omega Insight. Tonight's topic is faith. Does it work? I sent a quote in the newsletter last Wednesday, and the part that related to faith was it said, faith means believing in the unbelievable, which that makes perfect sense. The idea that we have faith, and as I said, it's connected to spiritual or God, religion. Most of the time, we are like a man of faith or a woman of faith, that we look to something that it's unbelievable, like not like oh, that would never happen, but the idea that we have faith in making something happen that may not happen. We put our faith in our relationships. We put our faith in our children. We put our faith in the school system. We put our faith in the government. We put our faith in our neighbors. Put our faith in our spouses. And what I mean by putting our faith in it, it's like we are dedicating our. We don't really know how it's going to work, but we have the belief that it will work. Now, Webster defines faith as complete trust or confidence in someone or something, which is, as I said, why we put our faith in the people that we love in our lives and in our communities, etc., etc. But is that all that's necessary, or is that all it takes? Anybody who's ever been in AA, you have to have faith. We have faith in our higher power, faith that there's a reason for things happening and things unfolding. So when I did a little bit of research on faith, I discovered that there's three components. Most everyone considers that there's three components to faith. There's the affective component, the cognitive component, and the practical component. Now, what does that mean? Well, the affective component of faith, it's a state of feeling confident and trusting. Like I am confident that I have faith that this is going to go well. And I'm not talking about, faith that I'm going to win the lottery. That's such an unknown. But we can have faith in ourselves that you're going to go for an interview, or you have to deliver a presentation, or deliver a speech, or take an exam, and you've studied and prepped yourself as much as possible. So you have that faith and confidence, and you trust yourself. This is going to work. So that's effective. Like, yes, we do know. Yep, I've studied. I'm confident. I'm going to do good. And sometimes when we have that confidence, it actually helps us excel. I remember I had a conversation with a baseball player who was playing in the World Series. And then the last game, I asked him, how did it feel? Because it went all the way down to the seventh game, inning nine, blah, 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 and behind by two. And I said, how did you feel? Did you have faith? And he said, it was the strangest thing. We just started to feel like we got this. And there was a confidence that kind of rippled through everyone. And they were trusting the rest of their team to be able to get catch the ball or hit the hits and whatnot. And he said it was just something that he couldn't describe, but it kind of just was a wave that washed over the team and they just went boom. And anytime you've ever seen, like I watched football yesterday, watching the Buffalo Bills, they all of a sudden synced. And that to me, I think is a good example of having confidence and trusting. It syncs together and it's like everything just falls into place and boom, it unfolds. We have faith that that's going to unfold for us. Another aspect of affective component of faith is like a default, like the attitude of life. We don't know how life's going to be. We don't know what even tomorrow's going to bring. Is there an asteroid hurtling towards our planet? That's one of the reasons why UFO cover ups, the um, people who speak about UFOs. My mind is just not going well today. But anyway, people who speak about, the UFO cover-ups and they say, well, the government would never say it because the government doesn't want to cause chaos. Because it's true. If you know the planet's going to end, what's the purpose? As a matter of fact, Chris Pratt's new movie, Tomorrow War, on Hulu, it's the same premise. Like they know in the future that the human race is going to be wiped out. So what's the point? So that's the idea of faith having the component of the affective. Like we know we have this faith that life is going to unfold. It's not like we have the actual handbook. Yep, here's what's going to happen. We just have faith that there's a purpose for everything. We have faith that when we get to where it is that we're going, it was worth the ride. That's the idea. Then the second faith is cognitive, and that's knowledge. So the faith as a knowledge, this shows up like like a truth. So it's revealed by like God, let's say. The Prophet Muhammad had uh, visions and he spoke to God. Buddha, same thing. Jacob's ladder. You could look in any spiritual text, any religious text, and you will find them speaking from God. You know, the burning bush with Moses, he spoke to Moses. So when we have somebody who um, is speaking on behalf of God or it's the written word, that's our faith. Well, that's the knowledge. There's the proof. It's right there. It's written right there. And then if we veer away from religion, we can discover that faith is by my experiences, the experiences that we have in our lives. We can have faith that something's going to work out because you know what? I've done it before, or I've done something quite similar to this. So I have the feeling that I have faith that it's going to work out. Obviously, you see the crib here. I'm up here with my grandson, and it's not funny, but it's enjoyable to watch how my daughter and son-in-law with the baby, everything's new for them. Oh, he sucked too much on the nipple on the bottle and spit up, and oh my gosh, and I made him choke. No, 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 you didn't. But because I've done it before, it's not a big deal. But for someone new, obviously it is. So I have faith that they'll be fine because people have been raising children for centuries, ever since human beings have been on the planet. It works out. You learn as you go. So that's by the experience that we can have faith through that. And the third component is the practical component. And this is more like the idea that an action is required to receive a divine gift. That's the component of practical. That we do this. You go to church and you say your prayers, or you meditate, or whatever it is that you do as an action to ensure that your faith will be carried out. This is kind of like a prayer, I guess, if you're going to put your faith in it. That prayer and faith go together. Now, when I'm thinking about those three components, I also understand that there's more to faith than just the belief. There's got to be action. I could sit here and have faith that I'm going to have a job. I'm faith that I'm going to win the lottery, but you don't buy a ticket. Obviously, you don't have a chance of winning. So there has to be some form of action to follow up with the faith, which is on the religious side. People go to ceremonies, you go to the synagogue, you go to the mosque, you go to the church, and you perform your prayers, and with the idea that I'm dedicating my life to this faith, and there will be a reward at the end. And totally get it. But that's an action required. It's not just simple faith. So faith is important to have. When we lose our faith, that leads obviously quickly to depression and chaos, I would say, is a loss of faith. If I can go back to the idea of Chris Pratt's movie, there was a scene when he was a high school teacher, and the kids are like, well, what's the point? Humanity's going to die in 33 years, so why even learn anything? And that's what happens when we lose our faith. Listlessness comes into play. Sloth, one of the seven deadly sins, sloth comes into play. It's like, why bother doing anything because it doesn't matter? So faith is necessary. It's necessary in our livelihood to feel like our lives matter and that the path that we're on has a destination and it's something that is beneficial for us. In Omega, we have the faith, the idea that one person at a time, we're making a contribution one person at a time. Not like we're trying to change oceans, but we made a little drop of water here, a little wave here. So slowly making our contributions, that's faith. Do we know whether or not we're making a contribution? We just have to have faith. We can have faith in, I said, ourselves. We can have faith in the idea that my actions are making a contribution. Now, the thing that I pause here is to also be careful. I want to say it's people who have ulterior motives, vicious, people who intend to harm, I'm sure they have faith, but that's like an extremist. And when you take an extremist who's under by God, we just passed 9/11, so the terrorists who believed that their actions were to get rid of the infidels, is that faith or is that an extreme? Like, can you take it too far? And I believe you can. I don't believe having faith causes injury to another human being. If my actions are causing injury to another human being, I don't feel like that's faith. Because faith has to do with the development of something, is what I'm believing. It has the development of, there's a purpose, there's a plan, it's in play, rather than destructive. I can't believe or imagine that faith would be incorporated with destruction. So that's just on the side note. But again, back to the concept of having faith and is it necessary? I would say absolutely it's necessary. We need to have faith in order to move forward. Mel Robbins was just doing the high five challenge. For those of you who haven't known about it, it's the idea of high fiving yourself to, hey, you got this. That's having faith in yourself. And how many people struggle doing that because it's awkward? Believing myself, that's awkward. We depend on other people to let us know, but I think it's important that we continue having faith in ourselves and the development of our own lives. So, thank you for joining me this evening on faith. I hope you have a wonderful week. Next week, we're going to talk about hope, which is the other part of that quote that I did from the newsletter that I did. Again, we're still looking for a place to deliver our Omega 2. We are ready to go. We just need a place. So we have the list. We just need the place. So if you know anything or of any place that we can access, go ahead and email us at info@theomegavector.org. Until then, have a wonderful week. Thanks again for joining me. Bye now.